take some questions on direction sense. Our first question is, Pankaj is facing north and moves 20 kilometers. Then he turns to his right and moves 20 kilometers. Then he moves 10 kilometers in northeast direction. Then he turned to his right and moves 20 kilometers and again to his left and then moves 20 kilometers. Once again he turns left and moves 20 kilometers. Now in which direction Pankaj is facing? So we have to find the direction in which Pankaj is facing finally, and these are the options. Let's see which is the correct option here. The correct option here is option A, that is southeast. For our reference, we've drawn the directions here, and let's see how we arrive at the correct answer. So it is given that Pankaj is facing north initially. So let this be the initial position of Pankaj. He moves 20 kilometers northwards. So this is towards north. He's moving 20 kilometers. Then it is given the question that he turns right and moves 20 kilometers. So right will be this direction. 20 kilometers once again. Then he moves 10 kilometers in northeast. So northeast is this direction, and in this direction he is moving 10 kilometers. Then he turned to his right and moves 20 kilometers. So right will be this direction. 20 kilometers in this direction. And again he turned to his left and moves 20 kilometers. So this will be left. Once again 20 kilometers. And once again he turns left and moves 20 kilometers. So left from here will be this direction, and he's moving 20 kilometers. Now we have to find the final direction in which Pankaj is facing, and Pankaj will be facing in this direction. And from the directions we can see that this direction is nothing but southeast. So option A is the correct option. Let's take question number 2. Ramu is looking for his wife. He went 90 meters in the east before turning to his right. He went 20 meters before turning to his right again to look for his wife at his brother's place 30 meters from this point. His wife was not there. From there he went 100 meters to his north before meeting his wife in a street. How far did Ramu meet his wife from the starting point? Seems to be a complicated question, but never mind, we'll make it simple. These are the options. Let's see which is the correct option. Option D here is the correct option. So let's see how we arrive at the correct option here. So let this be the initial position of Ramu, and it is given in the question that he went 90 meters in the east first. So this is the east direction, and he's moving 90 meters in the east direction. After that he turns right and moves 20 meters. So from here right side will be this side. So he's turning towards right and moving 20 meters. Then after that he turns to right again to look for his wife at his brother's place. So according to the question here, he turns right once again, and this time he's moving 30 meters. And this point according to the question is the brother's house. And after this it is given that he couldn't find his wife here. So from here he moved 100 meters to north before meeting his wife in the street. So north will be this direction, and he's moving 100 meters towards north, and finally he finds his wife at this position. So what we have to find is how far did Ramu meet his wife from the starting point. So this was the starting point, and at this point Ramu meets his wife. So that will be, so first we will calculate this length. Now this length from here to here is 90. This is 30. So this will be 90 minus 30. That is 60 meters. And this complete length is 100 meters. And this is 20. So this length here will be 80 meters. And if we complete the right angle triangle here, so that means This is the initial position of Ramu and this is the position of the wife. We have to find this distance. That means we have to find the hypotenuse in this right angle triangle. One side is 80, one side is 60. By application of Pythagoras theorem, you can very easily find the measure of the hypotenuse. That will come as 100 meters. Let's do question number 3. I'm facing west. I turn 90 degrees in clockwise direction, then 135 degrees in anti-clockwise direction. In which direction I'm facing now? So here we have to find the final direction in which the person is facing. These are the options. Let's see which is the correct option. So the correct option here is option B, that is southwest. Let's see how we arrive at the correct option. Before starting the question, this is the clockwise direction and this is the anti-clockwise direction. According to the question, first the person is facing west. That means the person is facing in this direction and then the person turns 90 degrees in clockwise direction. So this is the clockwise direction. Turning 90 degrees, the person will now be standing in this direction. And then the person turns 135 degrees in anti-clockwise direction. So anti-clockwise direction is this direction. And the person turns a total angle of 135 degrees. And now the question is asked, in which direction is the person facing now? So very clearly we can see that the person is facing in this direction, which is nothing but this direction here. So this is southwest. So B option, southwest, is the correct option. Let's do question number 4. According to this question, Santosh, Ashish, Sanjit, Aniket and Prashant are standing in a line facing towards north. Santosh is standing 20 meters left of Sanjit. Aniket is standing 20 meters right to Prashant and 50 meters right of Sanjit. What we have to find here is what is the distance between Santosh and Aniket. So we have to find the distance between Santosh and Aniket here. These are the options. Out of these, the correct option is option C, 70 meters. Let us see how we arrive at this option. The important thing to look out for here is that all the friends are standing in a line and all of them are facing towards north. So when they're facing towards north, towards their right hand side we'll have east and towards their left hand side we will have west. So let's solve the question. The first thing which is given in the question is that Santosh is standing 20 meters left of Sanjit. So if this is the location of Sanjit, then Santosh is 20 meters towards left. So that means this distance between the two is 20 meters. Then it is given that Aniket is standing 20 meters right to Prashant and 50 meters right of Sanjit. So Aniket is 50 meters right of Sanjit. So that means if Aniket is here, that means right of Sanjit, the distance between the two is 50 meters. Also given is that Aniket is standing 20 meters right to Prashant. So that means Prashant will be somewhere here. This is the location of Prashant. And Aniket is 20 meters right to Prashant. So that means this distance, the distance between Prashant and Aniket is, let's say this is 20 meters. What we have to find in the question is distance between Santosh and Aniket. That means we have to calculate this distance. This distance can be divided into two parts. One is the distance between Santosh and Sanjit, that is 20 meters, and the distance between Sanjit and Aniket, that is given to be 50 meters. If we add the two, we'll get the distance between Santosh and Aniket as 70 meters, which is the right option here. Let's do question number 5. One afternoon, Vandana, Swati were talking to each other face to face near to Carrier Power, Delhi. If Vandana's shadow was exactly to the left of Swati, which direction was Vandana facing? These are the options. Let's see which is the correct option. Option A is the correct option here, that is north. And let's see how we arrive at this option. Now let's draw the directions here. So if this is the north direction, this is the south, and this is our east direction, and this is west. Also, we know that in the afternoon, the sun is towards west. So sun will be somewhere here. So this is our sun here. So if sun is towards west, then the shadow will be towards east. And it is given in the question that Vandana's shadow was exactly to the left of Swati. So if the sun is in this direction, the shadow will be in this direction. This will be the shadow. And it is given that the shadow is towards left of Swati. And the shadow can be towards left of Swati only if Swati is facing towards south. Then only we'll have this side towards left of Swati. So it is clear now that Swati is facing towards south, and since Swati and Vandana are standing face to face, that would mean that Vandana is standing towards north. So A is the correct option. Let's do question number 6. Aditya and Kunal start from a point simultaneously. Aditya moves to his east and travels 2 kilometers, and Kunal moves to his south and travels 2 kilometers. Aditya takes turn 90-degree clockwise and travels 2 kilometers. Kunal turns 90-degree anti-clockwise and travels 2 kilometers. Where would they be found from the starting point? These are the options. Let's see which is the correct option. The correct option here is option D, both in southeast direction. Let's see how we arrive at this answer. So both Aditya and Kunal are starting from a point simultaneously, so let this be the point. And let's take brown color for Aditya and red color for Kunal. So it is given that Aditya moves to his east and travels 2 kilometers. So that means Aditya will travel in this direction 2 kilometers, and Kunal moves to his south and travels 2 kilometers. So Kunal is moving towards south and he's also traveling 2 kilometers. Then it is given that Aditya takes 90-degree clockwise turn. So this is Aditya, he's taking a 90-degree clockwise turn. That means he will be moving in this direction now. So this is a 90-degree clockwise turn and travels 2 kilometers. Kunal turns 90-degree anti-clockwise and travels 2 kilometers. So from here, Kunal is turning in anti-clockwise direction and traveling 2 kilometers. So all these are 2 kilometers. So finally they will be at here. And we have to find where would they be found from the starting point. So it is very obvious that from the starting point, they are in the southeast direction. So both of them are in southeast direction. Let's do question number 7. According to this question, Golu and Monu are standing at a distance of 20 kilometers from each other on a straight east-west road. Golu and Monu start walking simultaneously eastwards and westwards respectively, and both cover a distance of 5 kilometers. Then Golu turns to his left and walks 10 kilometers. Monu turns to his right and walks 10 kilometers at the same speed. Then both turn to their left and cover a distance of 5 kilometers at the same speed. What will be the distance between them? These are the options. Let's see which is the correct option. So correct option here will be option D. Let's see how we arrive at this correct option. Let this be the initial position of Golu, and this be the initial position of Monu, and the distance between the initial positions of Golu and Monu is 20 kilometers. This is given in the question. Also given in the question is that Golu and Monu start walking simultaneously eastwards and westwards, and they cover a distance of 5 kilometers. So Golu is traveling eastwards, that means in this direction, and travels a distance of 5 kilometers. That means Golu will reach here, and Monu is traveling westwards and covering a distance of 5 kilometers. That means traveling in this direction, Monu after traveling a distance of 5 kilometers will reach this position. Next it is given that Golu turns to his left and walks 10 kilometers. So if Golu from here is turning towards his left, then he will reach this position after covering a distance of 10 kilometers. And Monu is turning towards his right, then he will reach this position after covering a distance of 10 kilometers. Next it is given in the question that both turn to their left and cover a distance of 5 kilometers. So Golu, if he turns towards his left, that means moves in this direction, he covers a distance of 5 kilometers. And Monu turns towards his left, then he will move in this direction and cover a distance of 5 kilometers. Now we have to find the final distance between the positions of Golu and Monu. This distance can be calculated very easily. So if we draw a dotted line here, we know that this distance is 5 and this distance will also be 5. This is 5, the total is 20. So that means this will also be 5 kilometers. Now this is the final position of Golu and this is the final position of Monu. The distance between the two will be this distance and this distance. If we add the two, then the final distance between the two will be 10 kilometers. For doing this question, there can be one other consideration also. Let's see the other consideration. In the other consideration, Monu is in this position and Golu is in this position. Distance between the two is 20 kilometers. Now Golu will walk eastwards. So if Golu is walking eastwards, then he will travel in this direction and Monu will walk westwards. So Monu walking westwards will travel in this direction. Both are covering a distance of 5 kilometers each. So this is 5 and this is 5 kilometers. Next it is given that Golu turns to his left. So if Golu is turning towards his left, then he will travel in this direction. And this is given to be 10 kilometers. And it is given that Monu turns to his right. So Monu turning towards his right will travel in this direction and he is also covering 10 kilometers. Next it is given then both of their turn to their left and cover a distance of 5 kilometers. So turning left would mean this direction, this is 5 kilometers, and here turning left would mean in this direction, that means 5 kilometers. So this is the final position of Monu and this is the final position of Golu. We have to find the distance between the two. So we know that this complete distance is 20 and till here we have 5. This is 5 and this distance, so if we draw lines here, so I'm talking about this distance, this will be 20 kilometers. This is 5 kilometers and this distance is also 5 kilometers. Now the final distance between the position of Golu and Monu will be 20 plus 5 plus 5. That will be 30 kilometers in this case. So in the first case we had got 10 and in the second case we are getting 30. So D is the correct option. Let's do question number 8. Queen travels east. Mary travels towards north. Stuart and Tom travel in opposite directions. Tom travels towards right of Queen. Which of the following statements is definitely true? So here we have 4 statements and we have to find which is true out of these. So that would mean the correct option here is option C. That means Mary and Stuart travel in same direction. Let's see how we arrive at the correct option. Let's draw a north, south, east, west diagram and solve the question. So it is given that Queen is traveling towards east. So that means Queen is moving in this direction. Let me show with a different color. Queen is moving in this direction. So this is Queen. Mary is traveling towards north. So Mary is traveling towards, and it is given that Tom travels towards right of Queen. So right of Queen is this direction. So Tom is traveling in this direction, and also it's given that Stuart and Tom are traveling in opposite directions. So if Tom is traveling in this direction, then Stuart is traveling in this direction. So we can see that Mary and Stuart are traveling in the same direction. That is why option C is the correct option. Let's do question number 9. If Yadav sees the rising sun behind the temple and setting sun behind the railway station from his house, what is the direction of the temple from the railway station? These are the options, and the correct option here is option A, that is east. Let's see how we arrive at the correct option. For solving this question, let us draw a north, south, and east-west diagram. So this direction will be east and this will be west. For solving this question, we should remember that sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So it is given that Yadav sees the rising sun behind the temple. So that means temple will be in this direction. That means it will be eastwards. And if this is the temple, then this is behind the temple. So this is behind the temple. And here Yadav is seeing the rising sun and he sees the setting sun behind the railway station. That means railway station. So let's suppose that this is railway station will be westwards, and this will be behind the railway station, and here he is seeing the setting sun. So if we look at the direction diagram, this is westwards and this is eastwards. We have to find the direction of temple from the railway station. So this is temple. So temple is towards east and this is railway station, it's towards west. So direction of the temple from the railway station will be east. So that is why A is the correct option. Let's do question number 10. At 12:30, the hour hand of a clock faces north and the minute hand faces south. At 2:45, the minute hand will be in which direction? These are the options, and here, option B is the correct option. That means westwards. Let's draw a clock for solving this question. Let's solve this question. So, according to this question, at 12:30, this will be the position of the clock. And it says the hour hand of the clock faces north. So, this is north. And minute hand faces south. So, this is south. At 2:45, the minute hand will be in which direction? So, let's see what will be the position at 2:45. So, this is 1, this is 2. So, this is 1, this is 2. The hour hand will be in this direction, and at 45, the minute hand will be in this direction. So if this is north, this is south, then this is west. So B is the correct option.